Hello, Packers fans, and welcome into PackersNews.com. I'm Kassidy Hill, joined by Ryan Wood. Back at it, back on the grind after a much-needed bye week for ourselves and the Packers. The Packers players, they probably needed a break, but Ryan, I know you needed one as well. Did you
Well,
enjoy
we
it?
root for us, right? We're
Yes.
got to take care of our own bodies and minds first. So yes, it was a very nice, very restful,
Yeah.
necessary bye week.
I got the last of my boxes unpacked in my apartment, so that was
Did you?
nice. Yeah, I know, right?
Congratulations! Like a true Wisconsinite now.
And it's 4 degrees outside, so I feel like it.
It's cold.
Okay, there is a lot of news to jump into today. Um, let's talk about the one that just came out, just because I know there's going to be some questions about it on everybody's mind. So let's just go ahead and address it. Jordan Love was just placed on the reserve COVID-19 list. That means he is out anywhere from what minimum of 10 if they actually put him on the list, or could it be 5? He did tell us he was vaccinated, so that does shorten his time a little bit. But just right off the bat, what couldn't we expect the timeline to look like for Jordan Love?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, nothing like a busy Monday going out of the bye.
I know, right?
Here's the thing. The NFL does not confirm whether a player was tested positive or not. Devondre Campbell, for example, we don't know if he's a close contact or if he's asymptomatic, or if he's a positive test. Matt LaFleur did say about Devondre Campbell today, by the way, that he believes he's asymptomatic, which might indicate that he was a positive test, but we don't know. We don't know. We do know Jordan Love, because Jordan Love has said he is vaccinated, and the NFL does not place players that are vaccinated on the COVID-19 reserve list as close contacts.
Right.
The only way, if you're vaccinated, you can get to that list is with a positive test. So because of that, Jordan Love he's going to have to be asymptomatic. That sets the timeline. He's not available this week. He's going to need to be asymptomatic before he returns. So obviously, first things first, the human factor. You hope that he handles the virus well and gets better soon. Anybody that tests positive for that, you want that to happen, obviously. But from a Packer standpoint, Kassidy, their quarterback situation in practice this week is going to be very interesting. Aaron Rodgers is going to play Sunday, but the plan very possibly was going to be that Jordan Love is going to take basically all the first team reps this week. That's what he'd been doing the past month, really. And now, without Jordan Love and maybe without Aaron Rodgers in practice too, you've got Kurt Bankert. You have the squad quarterback, and that is it. What they do there, I imagine they're going to bring in another quarterback, but still, from a first-team rep standpoint, I don't know what they're going to do there. It's going to be very interesting.
And I guess that was my question. Let's go over a couple of facts real quick here, and then I'll ask the question. You almost hate to say it because of the situation, but the silver lining in this is that Aaron Rodgers and Kurt Benkert have already been through the COVID-19 protocol. So they, at least with Aaron Rodgers, we know he doesn't have to be tested again for a while. So even as a close contact, is that my understanding? Like that Rodgers and Benkert will not have to be tested, even though they were probably in the room with Jordan Rodgers. I mean, Jordan Love.
I need to verify that. I have not had a chance to look at the protocol, but that's my understanding as well. So let's say it's unsubstantiated, because I do need to verify by actually looking at the protocol. Yes, that is my understanding. The impact on Aaron Rodgers is minimal, and that's a good news for the Packers, obviously.
But then, as you said, what does that mean for practice this week? Daniel and Mike both have already mentioned it. This is the name I was going to bring back up. Do they bring Blake Bortles back in?
I mean, yes. Like, that's been the MO for this team since training camp, is to bring Blake Bortles back in. I imagine Blake Bortles will be getting a phone call. However, that doesn't really fix your first-team reps situation. You've got two guys that you want taking those reps, either Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love, because as quarterbacks coach Luke Getsy has said, both those guys are trained, and they've been trained for Jordan Love's case, a year and a half now, to run the Packers offense the same way. And not that they are the same talent, not that they're the same player, but in terms of their reads, their progressions, the way they operate and manage the offense, which obviously affects everyone else around them, it's run the same way. It's 98% the same way. The difference being that Rodgers has some of those extensions that only Aaron Rodgers can do, because he's Aaron Rodgers, no one else is. But I don't know how they're going to get someone to replicate that, and that's going to be a really fascinating piece of this. The first team reps part of practice. It's going to be fascinating to see how they do it.
Obviously, you don't want to push Rogers' recovery and end up setting him back. But do you think maybe we could actually see him return to practice this week, since there wouldn't be anyone else there to take those first team reps? Like, do you think he basically says, like, okay, let me just see if I can get back out there and run through a practice?
Aaron Rodgers said that he's been getting walkthrough reps, like he's been able to like mental reps and not full speed. So you can't simulate the timing, right? The timing element without going full speed. But from a progressive standpoint, the mental side of the offense, he's been able to get some of that. They're not, if his toe can't go, his toe can't go. They're not gonna put him out there unless he's able to man, because it's still about getting to Sunday and being able to be as healthy as possible for the game. So it's going to be interesting how they do this.
And then Matt LaFleur was asked today, from your knowledge, do you know if Rodgers is getting this surgery today or tomorrow? Because he had said on the Pat McAfee show he could get it as late as today or tomorrow and still play on Sunday. Matt LaFleur said, from my knowledge, he is not receiving surgery.
Which means no, because if his quarterback was getting a surgery, he would know about it. So
I was about to say, wouldn't you think he'd be on the call list?
Yes, I would imagine that Matt LaFleur not only gets Christmas cards, but also an update on whether or not his quarterback's pinky toe is getting a surgery. So, the whole plan for Aaron Rodgers this entire time has been to let it, if possible, heal naturally, so you don't have to get surgery in the rehab, the recovery involved with surgery, not having to come out of that, so that it's not a problem the rest of the year. That's the end game. They want it to heal on its own, so they don't have to deal with it the rest of the year. So, and the good news is it's been a soft deadline. Like they've had a lot of flexibility because it's a pinky toe. It's all parts of the body are important, but in terms of the hierarchy, the anatomical hierarchy, pinky toe is not that high. So that's a good news
on the totem pole, for sure. We have some questions and some stuff about possibly clinching coming up, but before we get into that, let's go to the next big piece of news, quote unquote. I guess it's news. It's an update. I'll let you take it away. Matt LaFleur was asked about David Bakhtiari, Jair Alexander, and Sadarius Smith today, and he said,
potentially this week could be the return date for practice. Now, it is a snowball's chance in hell that any of these three players are going to be playing against the Bears on Sunday. Let's just get that straight. I mean, these guys have been out a long time, and there's going to be a ramp up. They're not just going to throw them into the fire, right? With that said, just the fact that Matt LaFleur is indicating or is thinking that it's a chance, that he's telling you there's a chance that these guys can practice this week. 5 games still left in the season, puts them all on a very, very good path, barring setback, to return and for the stretch run at some point. And if this team gets 3 All-Pros back at 3 premium positions by the playoffs, and they're at their max capacity, they're playing like themselves, they go from being among a crowded pack of contenders in the NFC to being the clear-cut Super Bowl favorite. That's what the Packers become. At 9-3 without those 3 guys, you add them, that's huge. You cannot overstate the significance of that. So, I think that's a huge development. And keep in mind, you can have a setback. David Bakhtiari returned to the practice field, has not practiced since November 11th because he had the setback. So just because you get out there, everything needs to go well, but it's a very significant development for this team.
Mike said Packers can clinch the North title with a win on Sunday. Now, he did clarify, along with some help from Andrew down below, and Randy, that means if the Vikings fall to the Steelers. I'm doing my math correct. If they're currently, let's see, the Packers are currently 4 games ahead. So a Vikings loss, a Packers win with then 4 games left, they're clinched, right? And he said he can't remember that early of a clinch. Is that just the state of this division, or is that the Packers this year?
The reality is that once the Packers pulled their heads from between their legs after that opener, this division was over. It's been over for months. It was never about the division for this team. This division was over in July. It was over in June. It was over the
Aaron
summer.
Rodgers returned to camp.
Yeah, this was never going to be. So long as Aaron Rodgers played this season, they were going to win the division. It's just a matter of playoff seeding in the NFC, and that is what's very much still up for grabs. Obviously, the Chicago Bears did the Packers zero favors yesterday by playing like the Chicago Bears, and so the Cardinals are 10-2, and everyone's looking up to them. Packers do have that head-to-head tiebreaker. It's all the NFC North has been over for months. It's been over all year.
Jerron asked, will the Packers play the 49ers in the first round of the playoffs? That's assuming the 49ers get that wild card spot, which took a hit yesterday with a last-second loss to the Seahawks. Are we thinking too far ahead here, or is that what you're assuming?
I think that's the playoff part. 5 games to go. I have no idea what's going to happen. I wish I was Nostradamus and I had that crystal ball and I could look into it and be like, but no, I'm not. So It's possible. Vikings might be possible as well. Mm-hmm. We'll see how it plays out. And the other thing, too, we have no idea what seeding the Packers are going to be. They're right there in the mix.
Jim said that the need now is not Rodgers or Love, but a viable quarterback taking reps, a viable backup quarterback. Is Blake Bortles a viable backup quarterback? Is Kurt Benkert a viable backup quarterback if Rodgers gets hurt?
Well, first and foremost, you have 10 other players on that offense, so I don't know that I agree with the reps not being important. But yeah, I mean they obviously need depth there as well. When Aaron Rodgers is going to play Sunday, so it's so long as he plays, that should be fine. I don't know. I don't know if I agree. I think the practice reps are a huge deal. I get the need for depth and not having Jordan Love, Kirk Benkert. Either way, I mean, you saw Jordan Love in Kansas City. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't play this week, either way, they're in trouble. I'm not saying that they can't beat the Bears. I think the Bears are not as good as the Chiefs, but they got quarterback issues either way if it's not Aaron Rodgers behind center. So getting this offense prepared to play the Bears is going to be a chore for Matt LaFleur this week.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you look back at that Kansas City game, this Kansas City team is becoming more of who we thought they were, and as opposed to what they showed in the first half of the season. So I know it's not like you're not judging the NFL off strength of schedule, but that loss doesn't look as bad in hindsight when you kind of look at where Kansas City is at right now. Jim also asked, is DeAndre Campbell the best inside linebacker we have had in years?
Yes, that's been a position of weakness for this team, and he is a strength. So the Devondre Campbell update, he's on bye. He was put on the COVID-19 reserve list. So was Jonathan Garvin, by the way. So Jordan Love's the third now in the past week. This thing's still circulating in the locker room here, but Matt LaFleur said that he believes Devondre Campbell is asymptomatic. So long as he is asymptomatic, he can return by Friday. He'll be incorporated into the game plan virtually, do everything that he can from home to be ready to go. It's a positive update on Devondre Campbell and his chances to play Sunday. You never want anyone to get COVID-19. It's not great, but it was good timing if it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. A couple more questions about possibly clinching, but let's talk about the Bears specifically here for just a second. Matt LaFleur mentioned today preparing for Andy versus preparing for Justin Fields. Andy Dalton and Justin Fields are two very, very different quarterbacks. Okay. If you're Joe Barry, what do you do this week?
You hope that you get 4 picks like the Cardinals just did. You get pressure on whoever the quarterback is, make them play quarterback. Sound a little familiar what the Packers did to Mitch Trubisky, and be opportunistic on the back end, because no matter who it is, it ain't good. The Bears, I mean, stop me if you heard this before, it's the Chicago Bears, and they have quarterback problems. So, yeah, I mean, they're different, Kassidy, but they're also not different in that neither are going to come into Lambeau Field and win.
You think?
I'm not Nostradamus, but you don't have to be Nostradamus to know that. That one's pretty easy. That's low hanging fruit there. The Bears are not winning this week.
Yeah, especially when Aaron Rodgers owns them.
Yeah,
this is going to come back to bite.
The owner will not have it.
The owner will not. He said no. His, um, but that being said, do you prepare differently, or do you just sort of, if you're the defense, do you sort of stay in what you know, like play your type of ball and force whichever quarterback is back there to bend to that, if that makes sense?
Well, either way, I mean, how do you beat good quarterbacks, right? How do you defend quarterbacks? Pass rush and try to get them uncomfortable, get them off their spot, speed up their internal clock, and be ready on the back end when that happens to make big plays. So, it's going to be, the pass rush it's going to be different between Andy Dalton and Justin Fields, because Andy Dalton's a statue there. You go and get him off his spot. Justin Fields, you got to have a controlled rush. You got to push the pocket and not compromise your escape routes with your pass rush getting upfield and whatnot. So it'll be different from that standpoint. But either way, the key is to get these guys uncomfortable.
Yeah. Randy points out if Arizona loses on Sunday and then Green Bay wins, then Green Bay's back in the top spot. I'm trying to remember who Arizona plays. Let's look at who they play.
Yeah, I haven't even looked at the schedule yet.
They play the Rams on Monday night. So we won't really know how that number 1 seed is shaking out until after Monday night. That's a game they could very easily lose.
I'll watch that game. I'll give that game a watch.
You'll actually tune in for a Monday night game?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, do football. Adrian asked, will the salary cap figure given by Adam Schefter change anything as far as the Packers' salary cap issues this offseason?
Oh, man, I need to put a boycott on all salary cap 2022 questions. You know what?
We talked about the salary cap last week, too.
I know. The salary cap next year is a problem. It's a problem that I've not gotten to yet. Our Pete Doherty had a really good breakdown on it, though. You should go to PackersNews.com. He had a real. I mean, it's a huge problem. But Adrian, as to your question, I'm sorry, I've not.
And let's look. We looked it up last week, but let's look and see if it's still the same. 30. Let's see. Effective cap space for next year. They are $46 million in the hole.
According to Over the Cap.
Oh, according to Over the Cap, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money not to have.
It's just a problem. Like, just leave it there. It is a massive problem for this team.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I had another one up here. Oh, yes. Mike says, I like how the IR rule has changed. It really has allowed a team hit with injuries to stay competitive. Your feelings for the IR rule to remain in the coming years?
I think it's great. First of all, it saves jobs, and that's nice. You have fewer injury settlements. Secondly, the fact that you got this 3-game window and you can practice on IR and potentially return even sooner and just miss 3 games. It's something. I mean, the players' union is going to love it because you get guys back on the field. I think it's a great rule. I think it should absolutely say that in the practice squad rule, the expanded practice squad.
I was about to bring up the practice squad rules.
The fact that you're not disqualifying some vets out of the league because you have an arbitrary number on seasons played that you have to be not cross or exceed to be on the practice squad. Those are very, very good rules for this league. It helps the product. It makes it a better product on the field, and it's obviously very good for the players.
What's that quote? Like, necessity is the mother of invention or something like that. I know this is not an invention, but it's the same principle applies. These were put into place, the practice squad rules, the IR rules, because of COVID last year. Players Union liked it, so it rolled over to this year, which has been beneficial with COVID still going on. And yeah, like you said, I think it's something that can stick. You know, when you're forced to change, you sort of realize what was working and what hasn't been working and what could work in the future. So yeah, the practice squad rules especially, I think, could be huge and really, really beneficial. I think we see both of those changes maybe folded into the next CBA and become permanent changes. Mike said, hopefully it'll be one thing we can thank COVID for, the IR practice squad rules. Let's get the rest of the world on board with that. Just be thankful because it changed the NFL's practice squad rules.
Mike, I love that you've got silver linings, man. That's impressive.
We appreciate
right there.
it, Mike. Well, Thank everyone for tuning in. Make sure you stick to PackersNews.com for complete coverage as the Packers get ready to take on the Bears on Sunday. We will be there to cover it for you all. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me again. I hope you had a good bye week.
I had a great bye week. How about you?
I did. Like I said, I got my apartment packed up. I went to Milwaukee yesterday to go to the immersive Van Gogh experience. That was really, really cool.
Nice. Way to get out there and be among the people,
I know,
Cass.
right? I thought about going. Yeah, I thought about going to Milwaukee on Saturday night to watch the Bucks and Heat because I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan, and it ended up I was looking at the schedule of college football games for Saturday, and I was like, I've got several more months of NBA action and a couple more weeks of college football, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't walk away from a full day of a college football championship slate. So I made up for it on Sunday going to Milwaukee to see Van Gogh. You know, Giannis, Van Gogh, they're both artists of their time. So same.
I might have been inside a bar. That might have happened.
I think that's what your Instagram story said. I can believe that for sure. You may not remember it, but your Instagram does.
Got the receipts right there.
Exactly. Again, thank you all for joining us so much. If you're watching this back later, put your questions in the comments. We'll try to get to them the next time we do a Facebook Live, which should be on Wednesday. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.